Silence. 4 minutes of agonizing silence. That's what investigators found when they recovered the flight recorders from the wreckage of Asiana Airlines Flight 214. 4 minutes that should have held vital clues about the final moments of the flight. 4 minutes that could explain how a routine landing approach could end in a fiery crash. On July 6, 2013, a Boeing 777, one of the safest planes in the sky, slammed into the seawall at San Francisco International Airport. The impact shocked the world, leaving behind a trail of devastation and a mystery hidden within the silence of those missing minutes. The silence from the cockpit during those final minutes only deepens the mystery. Why did the pilots, experienced aviators with thousands of hours of flight time, not radio for help as their aircraft descended too low, too slow? The investigation into the crash of Asiana Flight 214 hinges on finding the answer to that question. Unraveling the mystery held within those silent minutes is the key to understanding what went wrong, preventing similar tragedies in the future. The world waits, hoping for answers, demanding to know how such a tragedy could occur. The date was July 6, 2013. Asiana Airlines Flight 214, originating in Seoul, South Korea, was making its final approach to San Francisco International Airport. On board were 291 passengers and 16 crew members, many excited to start their American adventure. As the Boeing 777 descended through a clear California sky, nothing seemed amiss. But at 11:28 a.m. local time, the unthinkable happened. The plane, instead of gracefully touching down on the runway, clipped its tail on the seawall, shearing off the tail section and sending the aircraft cartwheeling in a shower of sparks and debris. The impact was devastating. Miraculously, most of the passengers and crew survived, but 3 young lives were tragically cut short that day. The world watched in horror as images of the burning wreckage filled television screens. How could a modern aircraft, flown by a trained crew, crash on a clear day during a routine landing? The investigation began immediately, focusing on the black boxes, those silent guardians of flight data, hoping they held the answers. The black boxes, actually painted bright orange for visibility, are a critical piece of any aviation accident investigation. These hardened devices record cockpit conversations and flight data, providing investigators with a second-by-second account of what happened in the moments leading up to a crash. In the case of Asiana Flight 214, the black boxes were recovered quickly, their orange beacons leading investigators through the wreckage. The hope was that these devices would provide a clear picture of what went wrong. The recorders were flown to Washington, D.C., where experts at the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, began the painstaking process of extracting and analyzing the data. The cockpit voice recorder, which captures conversations between the pilots and air traffic control, would be particularly important in understanding the crew's actions in those final minutes. The flight data recorder, meanwhile, would provide a detailed record of the plane's altitude, speed, and other critical parameters, helping investigators recreate the final moments of the flight. The world waited anxiously for the NTSB's findings, hoping for answers that could explain the tragedy. Section 4. A puzzle with missing pieces. As the investigation progressed, a troubling discovery came to light. The cockpit voice recorder contained a gap, a 4-minute stretch of silence where there should have been chatter between the pilots and air traffic control. 4 critical minutes leading up to the crash were unaccounted for. The news sent ripples of shock and confusion through the aviation world. How could the recorders, designed to withstand even the most severe impacts, simply stop working during the most crucial moments of the flight? Experts were baffled. The recorders were designed with multiple redundancies, making it highly unlikely for both to fail simultaneously. The fact that the gap appeared on both recorders suggested a sudden and complete loss of power. But what could have caused such a catastrophic failure? The investigation team, comprised of seasoned investigators from the NTSB, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and Boeing, meticulously examined the wreckage, searching for clues that could explain the power loss. Was it a mechanical failure? A bird strike? An electrical surge? The missing minutes had become the central mystery in the investigation, a puzzle within a puzzle. Section 5. Unanswered questions linger. The investigation into the crash of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 was complex and challenging. Despite the data recovered, the missing 4 minutes of recording left a critical gap in the timeline. Investigators pieced together the final moments through radar data, eyewitness accounts, and physical evidence. The NTSB's final report cited pilot error, inadequate training, and fatigue as causes. The pilots mismanaged the descent and failed to recognize the low speed and altitude. The The missing recordings fuel speculation about the cockpit events during those minutes. Did a distraction or technical malfunction contribute to the errors? Did a lack of communication or misunderstanding of automated systems play a role? These questions remain unanswered, casting a long shadow over the tragedy. The crash serves as a reminder of the importance of vigilance, training, and communication in aviation. It highlights the critical role of technology in aviation safety and the need for constant improvements.